Hey, hosers. Bowen here. A lot of you also know me as Matt Bowen or James Griffin. Um, this is my first transition vlog. I haven't really actually started hormones yet or anything. That's in the future. But this is kind of a introduction, what's going on, first video of the new channel and all that sort of stuff. I, of course, have my Captain Griffin channel as well. Um, so, yeah, I came out maybe 5 or 6 months ago now as being trans. So, long story short, something up here says that I should be a woman or female or whatever, even though I'm not. It's taken me a while to address that, but yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. So this channel will be mostly a transition vlog, going over the physical and probably emotional changes because different hormones do different things to your emotions and other such things. So going over the changes of actually transitioning, probably some of the social stuff. I'm not having too much trouble with that. I live in a really good place. I kind of feel guilty about it, actually. And a lot of, I might do some other LGBT stuff, political stuff, rarely. There's actually a few things I want to handle. There's a few things I want to look at, but we're not going to we'll address those in individual videos. It's all going to be mostly trans stuff, though. I have another channel for unrelated things. I might use this as a general vlog for my life. Not that I have much of a life to vlog about. But anything I think that is not related to my gaming channel, I'll probably put on here too. So yeah, that's kind of what I want to do with this channel. I'll be going through things that I'm doing to transition better as well. Things that I'm learning, things that I'm doing. I know I'm not going to look like Simone Simons, but fuck Britney Spears. People keep saying Britney Spears. Fuck Britney Spears. Britney Spears is not that attractive. Simone Simons is a Simone Simons is a babe. I know I'm not going to come out looking like her, but I'm going to try. Yeah, you get one shot at this. So I'm going to, I'm taking that to heart, and I'm going to do what I can to try to get my body to where I want it to be. So it is something that I'm approaching with as much logic and science as I can. I'll be doing a few things that might be a little bit out there, but I do have rationality for why. It might be a good idea to do so, and I'll go over some of that maybe. All right, so just about a little bit of a history about myself being trans. I first started realizing that I'm not necessarily a boy when I was maybe 9, somewhere around 9 or 10, probably mid 9, probably around 9.5, I think. That was 1993. I'm old. That was 1993, and in 1993, so there were definitely people who've transitioned, and there was already a lot of knowledge that we're using here, going around, but nobody. It really wasn't common knowledge. The internet, it wasn't what it is now. It really wasn't what it is now. there was no support. I hadn't even heard of any of this until I was much older than 9. So I just didn't know what to do with it. And I wasn't really dysphoric, which is the term for when we're as trans people are uncomfortable with our body. As regards to gender. I mean, yeah, I'm fat and I don't want to be fat, and I'm uncomfortable with being as fat as I am, even though I could definitely be a lot fatter, but that's not what I mean. It's all with the gender, and we don't really know a whole lot of what's going on with that. But that really didn't start happening until I was older, maybe 11, 12, 13-ish. And then, when I sort of heard of trans people when I was in that area. Actually, being something that even exists, right? I'm not alone. So it still wasn't unknown to me largely until around 16, 17, I guess. Maybe a little younger, maybe a little older. I finally got internet at home. And we're getting on into the mid 90s now instead of the early 90s. So that I was able to learn more. But my life in the 90s was not all that great for large parts of it. And I was also in very poor mental health as an early teenager, and leading up to my teens. I was in extremely poor mental health. I don't think that anyone even knew how bad it was. But that is another story that I will never tell on this channel. But yeah, my mental health was extremely poor, so I never talked about it. I thought it would, just be another thing that would cause me more trouble. So then I moved to Toronto in an absolutely failed attempt to go to college. And I think I was around 21. I think it was around 2000. I think it was 2005. 2005, maybe 2006 when I moved to Toronto. I was 21. I'm not doing that math. And being in Toronto, having my own computer with my own internet connection full time, I started I started getting a little bit more dysphoric than I normally was. I have some very good, I did away with some. I had some very, very good coping mechanisms for that, so that it wasn't 99% of the time. It wasn't even something that I noticed. But in and around that time, being in Toronto, being exposed to more LGBT stuff here in Peterborough, where I've seen nothing but acceptance here in Peterborough. But there's also, especially back then, there was also not a lot of, how shall we say, community resources or anything. So now being exposed to more of this, I was better able to, and just, being able to more privately look into these things. I started looking into it, and the hoops they had you jump through, a lot of it I didn't even understand what it was supposed to mean. Like, I don't like certain things about my body. I wish they were very different. Um, but it's like live as a woman for a year before you even start hormones, and I'm like, what's this supposed to mean? I'm in a weird city. I don't have any health professionals, so I just kind of gave up on it and went back to brutally suppressing my female side, very effectively. So I had a lot of ups and downs in between 20 and 30 with that, and in general. But once I started hitting my 30s, the dysphoria really started coming back to me. I went through a couple of years that were like unrelated, really bad. Like, I'm not even going to talk about it because you don't want to hear about that shit, but it was really, really bad. And what I ended up doing is a lot of the stuff I do to suppress my being trans, like the dysphoria from that, can be universally applied to other things. So I was really straining myself to, just do everything I can just to not feel like shit all the time, which I did because, I was living in a terrible situation. But that a lot of that made me less able to deal with the dysphoria. And there's another thing that I'm sure that cis people have this too, that's just not as noticeable. We also have, and as opposed to gender dysphoria, there's the other end, gender euphoria. And that kind of became a painkiller for me, expressing, at least in private or on the internet. I wasn't like wearing women's clothes. I didn't have any or anything. I never really thought of that until very recently. But I was doing more things more femininely, I guess. That doesn't really make any sense, but it became a very potent painkiller for the bad situation that I was in, the really bad situation. So that kind of started bringing down the walls, and then a little under a year ago, maybe February, maybe a little bit later, things really, really, really just all the rest of the bad shit in my life kind of got dealt with. Stuff in my environment, stuff with other health problems. One of the things that I've always done to, one of the easy things that I've always done to cope with the dysphoria is I always put other problems ahead of it, problems that I knew I could solve easier. Well, I ran out of problems for the most part. Now there's just there's only a few things left that I have to deal with. And those are long-term things as well, and I can deal with them all at the same time. So, I started more exploring myself as a woman, and that is, that's what sort of got me to, I've always accepted it. I'll do another video on this later. I've always accepted it, right? I've always accepted it. I've always wanted, for the most part, to transition. like I'm going to start doing now, early in the new year, 2019. I'll be starting testosterone blockers. I'm not going on Spiro. I'm going on Cipro because I can't handle diuretics. But like I've never really felt any shame or anything. It's just that for the longest time, it was never anything that could. It was always out of reach, so to say. So now that we're moving along, it's almost the end of 2018. There are lots more resources. To simply go on to simply go on hormones is going to be is a lot easier now than it ever was. It used to actually be quite hard even to get on hormones. But now it's not nearly as difficult. I don't have a family physician, but I have a nurse practitioner who can basically do almost everything and has a doctor, an MD on hand that can approve prescriptions and stuff. So because nurses are awesome and they do most of the work anyways. It's just the doctors do the really hard stuff, but the nurses do most of the groundwork. So like my nurse practitioner can do all of this stuff under the supervision of a single doctor. And from what I gather, I'm not her only transgender client either. From the sounds of it, she can't outright tell me this, but she did, say it without saying words. Or not directly anyways. So, yeah, now that it's easier to do so, I mean, I'm admittedly not nearly as bad as a lot of other people as far as the dysphoria goes. And I'm only changing my body, right? Some mental stuff will change, like largely hormones are largely governed by our some emotional states are governed by hormones, especially since I'll be going on progesterone. I'm terrible with some medical names like that. I'll be going on that. That is kind of what regulates PMS in cis women, and with people who have periods. That's kind of regulated by by that, and Cipro is actually an analog to that stuff. But mostly, for the most part, when the thing I need to change is my body. There are little things that'll change, but I'm largely just out to change my body to be more comfortable with it. I'm still, a core gamer. I'm still a metalhead. I still like all the stuff that I liked. I am kind of expanding like my wardrobe and stuff. I never would have thought that I would have even looked good in this, or liked wearing this shirt, but I actually really love it now. It's kind of there's I'm not really into the pride flag things, but there's one for like gay and lesbian and transgender and bi and literally everything. The one that's transgender is pink, blue, white, blue, pink, I think. So this is kind of like it's all in a sequence instead of that pattern, but it's like just the gray is a little bit, cutting out the blue, which stands for boy in that, I think, whatever. So that's why I bought it. I actually really like this shirt now. So I'm expanding some things like my wardrobe. No, I'm wearing makeup. I'm doing a terrible job at it. I'm trying to talk a little bit higher. I'm probably not doing a very good job at it now. That's something I'm practicing. Little things, but I'm still me. I'm still always going to be me. People change their names when they're not trans. I know someone who changed his name from John to Howard for some reason. That's actually a really interesting name change now that I think about it. But I mean, like, yeah, there's I'm definitely just changing my outside for the most part. I might talk a little bit more about what I'm doing. I'm already doing laser. You probably can't see it because of all the makeup and all the fact that I shaved, but there's a big, like, spot where my beard just doesn't grow. Well, almost just doesn't grow nearly as much as the rest of my face anymore, because like the laser got that really good. Yeah, I'm doing. I got the whole face already paid for. I just have to go back 4 or 5 more times. But that's actually going really well. I might do another video on it, assuming that I remember to take pictures of my face before I shave. Or maybe I'll just do one before I shave. But I'll be ugly because I won't have, I'll have wrecked hair, and it'll be done before I shower. Because I have to shave now. Actually, now that I'm doing the laser, I actually have to shave more often than I would have otherwise. Just because of the big swaths of like, it's really patchy. It's really noticeable. I don't like it. I need to get this done. Fortunately, I had the whole thing paid for and all that, so I don't have to worry about any of that. If I do one on it, I'll definitely recommend the person who's fantastic experience. Aside from the pain, it actually does hurt quite a bit to have laser hair removal. Aside from that, it does. The girl who's doing it is just super nice, really understanding, and yeah, I'll definitely, if you're in the Toronto or Ontario area, Southern Ontario area, I'll definitely be recommending her if I do a video on it, which I probably will. Do I have any other housekeeping? So yeah, I'm just changing the outside of my body and expanding things like my wardrobe a little bit, doing a little bit of makeup. I'm not super into makeup, but there's going to be there's highlight stuff and whatnot to make my face at least look a little more feminine, which I totally want. But I'm definitely not the person to ask about that. I can barely get the stuff on in this basic amount, and I did a terrible job. Yeah, other than that, that's it for this video. Sorry, it's a little I'm just doing this. I'm not scripting any of these or doing anything like that. It's a vlog, not a video, not a channel with any major video productions. I'm mostly doing this for myself, but also for any other trans people who want to watch me, or really anyone who's curious, who want to see someone go from how I am now, pre-transition, to how I end up. So that's going to be like a 5-year thing. It's usually how long it takes. I have actually a lot of resources at my disposal. I've already been to a thing. If you're in the South Central Ontario area, like Peterborough, uh, between Oshawa and like, I don't know, Kingston or something like that. I don't really know East. There's this program. It's in Peterborough. It's called Gender Journeys. I actually went through the thing. They even put me on it. That's super nice. So I completed this. There's another one I'm trying to get into, but it's at a time that is extremely inconvenient. It's at a time that's extremely inconvenient to where I can't like get to it on time. But I'm hoping to be able to go to it anyways. I just have to work on that. It's basically 11 a.m. on Saturday, and I work until 11 a.m. on Saturday. So I'm either going to have to get them to change the time, maybe like a half an hour so I can get down there, which would make it fantastic because it'll go to 2:30. If I get them to do it from like, no, it'll go from 11:30 to 1:30. That would be fantastic. Give me just enough time to run back home or to run back to work. Or I'm just going to try to get Saturdays off, but that's I have to get in touch with them. But other than that, stay tuned. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'm not going to get mad if anyone actually asks me questions about what I'm doing, what I want to do with myself, how I feel, why. Especially on this channel, or for those of you who have my real Facebook, or any other social media of mine, or you can leave comments in the comment section with questions and whatnot. As far as this forum goes, I am completely open to answering questions. I'm open to engagement. As long as you're not a complete asshole, I'll be happy to engage you. If you're just going to spout Bible passages at me, that's pointless. I'm an atheist. You're not going to get very far with that. I'll be happy to make you not believe your religion anymore, though. But if you're just going to insult me, I'm just going to insult you back, or make you look like an idiot. I'm not. I'm definitely far left, but I'm not a perpetually offended outrage warrior or a authoritarian. I'm not the authoritarian left. I'm not an anarchist either. I'm kind of like a far left centrist. Is the best way to describe my political stance. I just want everybody to get along. On the left, on the right, in the middle, whatever. Discuss your shit. Don't be assholes to each other for any reason. That is my philosophy on life now. So this is actually kind of just rambling on, but yeah, if you want to try to convince me that being trans is wrong or something like that, or if I'm not really trans, or if I'm crazy, whatever, I'll be happy to talk with you about that. And I'm not going to be the one being an asshole. Unless you're like a real asshole to me, then I can be as much of an asshole as you are, if not more. But this is going on half an hour, and I don't necessarily want it to really be that long. So that's it for this video, and have a good one, eh?